to the Financial News Network. I'm Christy Duffy. Intel reported its fiscal third quarter earnings results after the closing bell Tuesday. The chip-making company posted an EPS of 52 cents, topping the analyst consensus estimate of 50 cents per share. Intel's revenues were also a beat, coming in at $11.1 billion. Consensus estimates were for $10.99 billion. Joining me now to discuss what's next for Intel for the fourth quarter and the holiday season is Adam Benjamin of Jefferies, who covers the stock. Welcome, Adam. Were third quarter orders strong? What does this indicate for the fourth quarter and the holiday season?
I would say below seasonal. Clearly, the consumer has been weak. They indicated that when they pre-announced their Q3 number after they had previously guided up 8%, and now they're finishing up 3% or so, actually 4%. So clearly, business didn't come through in terms of the build ahead for back to school and holiday season. Back to school is more of a Q3, some holiday season. Q4 is 100% holiday season. It kind of refreshes the inventory levels post back to school and fills it in for the holiday season.
Intel made a slew of deals this quarter, the largest being McAfee. What are your thoughts on the acquisition?
I think people are trying to understand what's the strategy. I think the running joke among investors has been figure out a reason why they did this deal and let me know. So no one seems to have a full reason or understanding of why this makes sense. Obviously, what is being proposed is that ultimately do the software and security and hardware over time, but that'll take time, and I think there's a lot of people scratching their heads as to why this makes sense. The Infineon makes a lot more sense. It fills a hole for them.
So consensus gross margin was for 66%. How did Intel's actual gross margins compare to your own estimate, and where do you see them peaking?
For the quarter, they came in a little light. They had guided 66 plus or minus when they reduced their guidance. We had 66.4. They came in at 65.9, so marginally lighter. But I think it's a function of demand. Obviously, even in the more seasonal quarter, they guided 67, but there's some inventory write-offs at 2%. So the kind of better way to look at that is they kind of guided at 66 on a true basis. So they actually guided it pretty flattish, if you reconcile that. I think this is probably where we're going to stay. I mean, March quarter will be a seasonally weaker quarter. It should be, although seasonality is somewhat out the door here these days, given the fact that Q4 we're seeing lower than normal seasonality, and probably lower than normal seasonality in Q3, followed again in Q4. So we'll see what we get. I think people will model it Q1 down, but we'll see how that shakes out, depending on how business improves or doesn't improve.
Do you expect PC weakness to continue?
I think we will get some sell-through clearly for the holiday season, which really doesn't kick off until Black Friday. But I do believe it'll be softer this year than last year, for example, and that's largely due to price. I think there's, the consumer has been weak, and there's a lot of reasons why the consumer could be weak in terms of what we're seeing with the economy and generally, unemployment levels. But I think largely due to the fact that notebook PCs really saw a dramatic drop down to about $300 level last holiday season, and now they're roughly the same price. So the consumer's not seeing a dramatic deal that they previously saw last year.
Has Intel benefited from the race amongst tech companies to build tablet computers?
I think Intel is a powerful force in the computing space, so to count them out would be foolish. I do think that they run up against some different challenges when you move into the tablet space, where a lot of ARM-based processors will be sufficient, and a lot of those tablets will find that x86 architecture, which made Intel so successful, is not necessarily well adapted for those applications in terms of power consumption, and that ARM-based solutions will be preferable. And given that, you'll see a lot of Android-based tablets as well as Apple-based tablets continue to do better than x86, or Intel will be positioned. But I do think they will have a play there. It's still unknown as to how that market's going to play out.
Okay, Intel shares have struggled this year. Do you expect limited movement in the share price in the coming weeks?
We even underperform largely because we think some of these secular headwinds in the market are going to make it a challenge into next year, and we'll continue to put a lid on the stock. So we're, from an absolute basis, I don't think the stock's really going to go down a ton from these levels, but don't think there's much upside either, and I think there's much better ways to play semis as you move into 2011, as there has been this year. Texas Instruments, for example, has been a significant outperformer versus Intel, and I continue to think that's a better way, as well as overweighting a Broadcom, for example, or even Qualcomm versus Intel into next year.
Thanks, Adam. For further updates on Intel, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is the Financial News Network, and I'm Christy Duffy.